unicorns, and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're on my channel, my name is Vanessa and I, and I would like to welcome you into the fam. So today's pick a card reading video is all about your love life during the month of October in 2020. So in order to help you figure out exactly what's going on during this month, I have prepared 4 groups that you can choose from, and I would like you to pick one of these 4 groups intuitively. But if you can really not make up your mind between the 4 crystals, then of course feel free to tune into 2 groups, because your personal reading could be a mixture between multiple groups. But let's get into it. So group number 1 corresponds to the Celestine, group number 2 corresponds to the Black Obsidian, group number 3 corresponds to the Carnelian, and group number 4 corresponds to the Orange Calcite. As per usual, the timestamps to all the groups can be found down below in the description box, as well as pinned to the comment section. So all you need to do is click your timestamp and you'll be fast forwarded to your reading. So before I get into the readings, I just wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate each and every one of you and all of the love that you continuously spread on my channel. I can't thank you enough for your support and for the beautiful community that we have been able to build. So thank you so much. And yeah, enough of the cheesy intro. Let's get into the readings. I will be starting off with the first group, which corresponds to the Celestine, and to all of my other wonderful groups, I will catch you at the click of your timestamp. Hello group number 1, and welcome to your reading about your love life during the month of October. So group number 1, you chose the Celestine. Let's do a quick close-up for your crystal, if the camera will focus. There we go. So this crystal has already gotten all sorts of beautiful names from you guys, such as Fluffy, Bear, Cloud, and so on and so forth. Let me know down below if you have any other ideas for this beautiful crystal that allows you to come back to your personal equilibrium and kind of gives you that feeling of peace and tranquility. That's what this crystal can help you with. But let's move into your reading. So we have the Shallow Grave, we have the Sewer Mermaid, as well as Mend a Broken Heart Fairy. So we have a very interesting combo of cards right to begin with group number 1. In the Shallow Grave, one thing that I can see here is this feeling of missing somebody, okay? And I see that this is a sign that you may be missed by somebody who kind of just effed it up with you. Let's be real, group number 1, okay? So this could be an ex, this could be somebody who just overall did you wrong. It could also be a friend, just any type of relationship where there was love, be it platonic or romantic love. I see that that person is kind of thinking about you, contemplating making a reappearance, so don't be surprised if you receive a text or a message from a long lost friend or ex. Well, not really long lost, right? Because you weren't really looking for them, group number 1, but I do see here in the Shallow Grave that they miss you, and in October it's just coming to a point where they can't really take it anymore and they're trying to reach out, but in a way they're kind of like dead to you, okay? So that is not really something that I would be too concerned about, group number 1. Next up, we have the Sewer Mermaid. So in the Sewer Mermaid, I see here that what triggers them to reach out is just seeing basically what you've been through ever since that connection has fallen apart. So you may have had some sort of glow up or just some sort of phase in your life where it was clear that the breakup or the relationship falling apart was for the better, and ever since then you've grown and come into this being that you are today. The Sewer Mermaid is all about embracing your sensual side. So group number 1, know that in October, this is one thing that can kind of like help you get over any feelings that make you feel unwanted or not good enough. Just embracing that sensual side of yourself. So wearing clothes that make you feel attractive, that make you feel good about yourself and your body, and expressing your sensual side in that way. Or of course, if you're seeing somebody, allowing yourself to get physical, to get intimate in the most romantic ways, and in ways that again make you feel comfortable. So wearing nice clothing, maybe even nice undergarments that really flatter you, getting to know your body and your sensual side. I can see here in Mend a Broken Heart Fairy that there is somebody who is still trying to heal from the heartache of losing you, but again, why I'm saying not really to bother too much with that is there's most likely a reason why they're dead to you. There's most likely a reason why you're kind of keeping your distance from them, and it is up to them to mend their heart, to mend their broken heart. It was up to you to deal with however they left you at the time as well. So it's kind of like a little bit of a situation of what goes around comes around, group number one, karma, if you will. So I do see here in Mend a Broken Heart Fairy that any part of you that kind of feels a little bit like there is heartache there during the month of October, just remind yourself that there is somebody who is really, really regretting having crossed you and is seeing you now in all of your glory and wishes that they had a second chance, wishes that they had been that way. So that is one thing that I want you to become aware of and to be a part of your month in October when you're going through difficult times. Remind yourself that it's really not the end of the world, that it's something that everybody feels, but at least you know that if you are mending a broken heart, somebody really did break your heart, and you're not being that person who is trying to get back after you mess things up. But let's move further into your reading. Next up, we have the Vision Quest. So in the Vision Quest, I do see here that in a way, what may give you heartache is just the fact that you feel like you're on this quest, you feel like you're on this journey, you're seeking something. It's home, it's a feeling of belonging. You're not quite sure what it is, but one thing that you are 100% certain of is the fact that there is a space, there is room that still needs to be filled in your life. There is still something that is in dire need of being completed, of being brought to a satisfactory point or even ending. So that's where I can see that there is a little bit of this sense of longing. Now, if you are in a relationship, it may be that final commitment or what you deem to be that next step in the commitment process. It could be, for instance, marriage, you know, that legally binding contract. It could be children. It could be adopting a pet. I mean, for me, my dogs are my children, so I totally get if you feel the same way. So know that that is one thing that may make you feel a little bit out of touch at times, or a little bit heartbroken, especially if it's not possible at this point in time. Next up, we have sea creatures. So in the sea creatures, I want you to know here that immersion and immersing yourself in those emotions has a healing effect during the month of October. So instead of just focusing on something completely different, group number one, actually allow those feelings to become very clear and prominent, and journal it out, you know, write them down. Write down your thoughts that go along with these feelings, with these emotions, and be unafraid to immerse yourself in the moment, and also to speak up when it comes to this, because it's never an easy thing to go through when you feel down, when you feel like things just aren't how they're supposed to be in order to feel completely fulfilled and like you're not constantly looking for something. So look those emotions in the eye during the month of October. Next up, we have the nectar. So in the nectar, okay, let's just zoom in here. There we go. In the nectar card, group number one, I want you to know here that nectar seems to be something that you are full of during the month of October, because for some reason you just can't shake these people who are trying to reappear in your life, who are trying to come back now all of a sudden after they did what they wanted to do, after they behaved in a maybe very foolish or reckless way with your heart and your emotions. All of a sudden you're just too kind of attractive for them to not send that message or try and DM you or try and sneak back into your life, which is where you just need to know that it could be agitating, but at the same time, don't give in to those people who you know are toxic to you. Next up, we have apocalypsis. So one thing that I can see here is just the fact that it can be a little bit of a, how should I say, a frustrating situation because it's chaotic, okay? just coming out of a stage in your life where maybe you felt as though, okay, there's not that much going on romantically, and now all of a sudden everybody wants a piece of you during the month of October, group number 1, which can make you feel, again, kind of anxious, like there's too much going on in your life. And that's where you have to remind yourself that it's okay to just remove yourself from the situation and focus on what really matters, to just regain that clarity where there's a lot of noise and a lot of chatter and a lot of people kind of trying to be in your life again. Next up, we have the box. So group number 1, protect yourself. Put yourself in a box if you need to. Don't go putting yourself in vulnerable positions just to make it clear to people that you want nothing to do with them, either romantically or just overall emotionally as a human being. Just do not allow people to have access to your energy. There's no other way to say it, because once you move back into that phase of contact, once you allow them to message you, and even if you tell them to leave you alone, they've still gotten that attention, right? They've still gotten what they wanted, because they wanted that attention. They wanted to kind of remove you out of your space, out of your box, or just penetrate the box, okay? Be able to get into your space. If this is your energetic field, know that you have to protect yourself right here within it. Keep it closed and don't allow any type of door or opening for somebody to be a part of it who does not belong. That's one thing that I see here in the box, especially with you exploring more of your sensual side, as we have here in the Sewer Mermaid, understanding that your sensuality is something so beautiful and so worthy. It can be easy to fall prey to people who are noticing that, okay? Especially if you're not 100% sure if it's working, how comfortable that you feel, and somebody tries to sneak in and take the opportunity to tell you how beautiful you are, and that maybe gets your knees a little weak, okay? Don't allow that to be the deciding factor to let somebody into your life who you know should not be in your life right now because they are toxic, or because they are literally just looking for ways in which they can enhance their life and their space through using you. Next up, we have a progress. So group number 1, I want you to know here that when it comes to love, you're making amazing progress, especially when you're capable and able of avoiding kind of ghosts or skeletons from the past, okay, and making sure that you're staying away from any energy vampires. So progress is different to each and every one of us. Progress is something that for you in love could be being in a stable, committed relationship. For somebody else, it could be marriage. For me, for example, it could be just taking the relationship to the next level where we can adventure together and have new experiences that we go through and talk to one another about together. So there's so many different facets. There's so many different aspects of progress. Just because love is such a subjective topic, I do want you to know here in progress that that is one thing that is moving into the direction that you desire, that's moving into the space that you wanted it to move into, despite the fact that ghosts from your past, people are trying to challenge it, put little roadblocks right in front of you. Don't allow that to happen. Ignore. That's the best answer. Next up, we have sensitivity. So your sensitivity is what you may be kind of like played with, if you will. So people trying to tap into the side of you that is naturally very empathetic. You may, for instance, feel like you're an empath. You're just naturally somebody who cares a lot. So know that this sensitivity may, for instance, come forth a lot more when people are in need of help or pretend to be in need of help, just to be able to get closer to you, just to be able to initiate that conversation. Where group number 1, again, remember your box. Helping people is one thing, but sharing your space, allowing access to your sacred space, that's another thing. That's a whole another story. So that's where I want you to know in sensitivity that it's essential for you to make sure that you are protecting your space and your heart in order to continue to move forward, in order to continue to be able to progress, just as we had right over here. Next up, we have the sun. So I see here that your sensitivity is actually a really positive thing, okay? The Sun is a card that is highly positive, that is all about success, victory when it comes to love. So I do see that October is overall going to be a victorious month. It's going to be a month where you feel like, yeah, that went well. My love life is moving into a direction that I'm happy with. So I do want you to know here that in correspondence to sensitivity, this may have to do with the fact that you're allowing yourself to feel again, you're allowing the right people to get to know you properly, to get closer to you, and to just be a part of your life for real this time, okay? Not putting up so many walls, so many barriers, especially if you're, for example, a Taurus, if you're, for example, a Gemini, it can be difficult to let people in. An Aquarius, ooh, girl, let me not get started on that. It can be hard to trust people and to let them in for good reason. And it just shows that you're somebody who is cautious, which I would way rather you be cautious than someone who gets hurt at every turn. But at the same time, you miss out on so many experiences, which I see that you're finally opening up to, finally warming up to, and finally allowing into your life. Next up, we have the 10 of Knives. So one thing that I can see in correspondence to your love life in October is that you feel like you have some creative blockages, okay? I see that your love life is really distracting you actually from your creative ventures, is distracting you from cultivating new ideas when it comes to things that you love to do, just to create, just to be artsy. So don't beat yourself up about it, group number one. Don't feel as though this creator's block, this writer's block is going to last forever. It's just a very momentary thing that's happening in October, and it's fine, okay? We all go through phases like that. Next up, we have the Sword. So in the Sword, I do see here that you have to be smart and very tactical with closing off your space and be very direct, okay? So if somebody is trying to get closer to you, to get to know you, where you already can feel like things are off, be very direct, be very blunt and upfront, assertive about things. That is one thing that I can see that you're being called to do here in the Sword, and to just overall protect your space at all costs. One thing that I do want you to know in correspondence to the Sun and opening up and the sensitivity, that is solely for people who are already in your space, okay? That's solely for people who are already, quote unquote, in your box, in your energetic field. That is not for any newcomers or anybody who has proven in the past to not be trustworthy when you initially trusted them with your heart. Next up, we have the Threshold. So in the Threshold, threshold, you know what I mean, group number one. Sometimes my pronunciation can be a little funny, but in the Threshold, one thing that I can see is that October is really like you standing on this ledge, on this edge of the threshold, and about to move into a completely new world and realm. So know that if you are single, stepping into a new realm could be stepping into a new relationship after October, okay? By the end of October, beginning of November, this just being the last month that is like this, the last month of darkness, of maybe things that you already knew and experienced. If you are in a relationship, know that there is profound change coming in your relationship, and that next step is most likely going to bring more passion and life into things. Passion goes both ways, right? It can be romantic. It can also be kind of arguments, going through a rough patch, passionately talking to one another, but know that just overall there are new exciting things coming that are meant to happen, and you can steer them. You can kind of influence them, if you will, by allowing yourself to speak up about what it is that you want, as we have it here in the Sword. So group number one, we are at the end of your reading about your love life during the month of October. I hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. Let me know down below how you felt about this very long reading, and leave a little sun emoji down below, as we do have the sun just setting here in the Vision Quest, to let me and others know that you made it it all the way to the end of your reading. So group number 1, I'm sending you so much love and gratitude, and I'll see you in another video. Hello group number 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Black Obsidian, group number 2, which is a really interesting stone. It helps you absorb any type of negative energy and just overall protect you, which may be exactly what you need in correspondence to your love life. But let's move into it to figure out what's coming for you during the month of October. So first up, we have the Sea Beacon Fairy. This is what she looks like. Oh, let's zoom in. There we go. Then next up we have the Pink Lotus Fairy. And last but not least, we have the Violet Angel. So let's get into your reading. One thing that I can see here in the Sea Beacon Fairy is you're receiving guidance. You're receiving divine guidance when it comes to love, group number 2. So signs, symbols, numerology, just all over the place. And this can be very overwhelming. This can be something that leaves you feeling rather confused because you're like, okay, I continuously see the number 3, for example, because the Sea Beacon Fairy corresponds to the number 3, the Pink Lotus Fairy corresponds to the number 43, and the Violet Angel corresponds to the number 23. So 3 is a thing for you, group number 2. So don't be surprised if you continuously see the number 3, 33, 333, 3:33 p.m. a.m. You get the gist. So having that alongside other symbols such as seeing, for instance, feathers, holographic crystals, just things that are symbols to you that you can tell have a deeper meaning, you're kind of going to be a little bit flooded when it comes to symbolism. And that in the Pink Lotus Fairy, October is really a time for your spirit guides, for the universe to be speaking directly to you about how you are affecting your love life, about what you are manifesting into it, what is happening, and exactly what effects that your behavior has on your love life. So there are a lot of confusing aspects to your love life in October, as well as a lot of aspects where truth is finally coming forth. I can see in the Violet Angel and Breaking Dawn that just overall fatigue is something that you may feel when you think about love. You may feel as though like, okay, I have all of this guidance, just as we have here in the Sea Beacon Fairy, but where is it trying to lead me to? Okay, where is it trying to go from now on? Where are things trying to take me when it comes to love? Knowing the Pink Lotus Fairy, that if you really do want to kind of not just live or exist through October in the mundane way that you're maybe used to, or just overall in the usual way that you've been existing for this past 2020, I do want you to move into a more spiritual space, into a space where you can connect. For instance, actually engaging in meditation once, twice, 3 times a day, every time you have a meal, for example. Make that a routine to go deeper, to dive deeper. That way you can find more meaning. You can figure out exactly what your guides are trying to say to you about your love life, group number 2. But also know that if you don't do so, it's not a big deal. It's not something that's going to hurt you. You're just going to feel a little bit confused and like, okay, I'm tired. Love is just a topic for itself and I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear about it. Next up, we have the Medallion. So nevertheless, I see here that you're the center of attention for somebody, okay? You're the center of attention for somebody who sees you almost as the medallion, almost as this prize, if you will. And group number 2, you are a prize, okay? Don't tell yourself any otherwise. But I do see that in correspondence to just a lot going on, a lot of different signs, maybe even different people trying to come in and out of your love life. You may not even realize that to one person you are everything. So keep that in mind and allow that to have you look around with more of an open mind and very skeptical eyes to figure out who this person is that sees you as the medallion. Next up, we have the Bardo. So one thing that I do see here in the Bardo is that you have to pay a lot of attention to your mental health and your mental space when it comes to love. I see that to a certain extent, there may be some thoughts that are reoccurring and not very helpful, thoughts that are very self-limiting. For instance, asking yourself if you will ever find love or if you will ever be happy. You know, when you put that little word if into the equation, that kind of shows that you're not sure if it's something that you deserve or will ever happen. It kind of allows room for, oh, this may actually not happen. This could actually never occur. You may actually never be happy. You know, just taking little words, little fragments like that out of the equation can save you from going through a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of feelings of not being good enough, of low self-esteem and confidence. So know that you really can influence your mental state, and with saving you from going through depression, I do know that some people, some of you suffer from depression that cannot be played in that way so easily, and I completely understand that, but feeling down or feeling depressed is human nature. It's normal to feel down or depressed every now and then. So know that you can affect that. Know that you can raise your spirits as well as your mood by speaking to yourself kindly. Next up, we have the trickster. So in the trickster, there is somebody here. We kind of spoke about it a little bit. There is someone who sees you as the medallion, somebody who sees you as everything. And then in the trickster, there's somebody who kind of just wants to play. There's somebody who's kind of just here for their own selfish reasons, for their own purpose, for their own kind of satisfaction, trying to get closer to you to see how far they can go, to see just what they can get out of the situation. It could be physical, it could be just kind of wasting your time, it could be just emotionally having you attached to them, and that sense of satisfaction that the trickster gets when the trickster knows that they have power over you, even if it's just emotional power. I do see that that's what you're being called to look out for and to make sure that you avoid group number 2. Next up, we have these stone people, and the stone people are these very wise and divine beings. So kind of like our ancestors, if you will, where our now human race has come from. And the stone people, they had this knowing, right? They knew what they had to do at which point in time in order to survive. And in a way, you could say that we've become a little bit numb to being connected with the nature and all of its beauty and all of its danger. We just kind of run off of checking the weather in the morning and just seeing what the news says, whereas the stone people, they felt it, they figured it out by themselves, they thought about things in a way that was observant and connected to all of the living around them, to every little facet of life on this planet. So I do want you to know here in the stone people that your intuition is sharpened during the month of October, and it will allow you to see these tricksters. It will allow you to kind of like sniff them out, if you will. It will allow you to see like, this person is weird. I'm getting weird vibes. I feel like something within me can sense that there is something that's off. Don't try and figure out what it is. Don't try and get more deeply involved with somebody who you feel could be the trickster. Instead, look out for the one who sees you as the medallion. If you have this knowing about somebody and you feel like, no, they really do care about me, lean more into that relationship, lean more into those people rather than the ones that are very hot and cold, that are black and white, that just cannot decide how they feel and what they want to do. Next up, we have fire. So there is a lot of passion here in your love life during October. So group number 2, okay, there could be some booty calls, there could be some situations with a current partner or a situationship where you're sharing some passionate moments with one another, and this may have to do with the fact that there isn't so much moving around that is possible. I do see here in the Bardo, as well as the Violet Angel, fatigue on top of just what is going on right now in this world may cause you to feel as though there's not much that you can do. There aren't many outlets, so you might as well just kind of have a passion, kind of have being romantic with somebody be that outlet, be that space where you can pour some of your remaining energy into. Next up, we have the 10 of Knives. So in the 10 of Knives, I see that to a certain extent, you're kind of over somebody who has let you down a lot, okay? Somebody who has taken your passion for granted, or just taken your projects and your abilities for granted. Abilities that have to do with your creations, with the artsy side of you, with the side of you that comes up with new ideas. So the artsy side doesn't have to mean that you are a great artist or that art has ever been something that you wanted to do for a living, but you know, your innovative side, your creative side, whether you're a software developer, a writer, or somebody who actually creates fine art, you need innovation as well as ideas for all of those aspects, right? So know here in the 10 of Knives that the people who haven't been supportive of you, they're really going to kind of hit a nerve in October, and you're really going to feel like, what am I even doing with these clowns? And it could be that these people are close friends or even family, so it's very hard to cut them out or to avoid these strong emotions. But let's move further into it to figure out how to deal with it. So next up we have the Emperor. So in the Emperor, I do see that taking lead of the situation, being the leader of your life and your emotions, is the only way how you can overcome this. So whether it's somebody who you're romantically interested in, who you feel has not been taking you seriously, or just overall a friend, a partner, a family member, I see here in the Emperor that you have to remind them of the fact that this is your life. This is what you decide to do. This is none of their business, nor is this something that they should be speaking or thinking about in such a way. And just to, well, not gently, okay, very directly and openly remind them of the fact that if they are unsupportive, if they have nothing nice to say, maybe they should think of just keeping their thoughts to themselves. I mean, just a little idea. Next up, we have the Tower. So in the Tower, I do see here in correspondence to the Stone people that you feel exactly when you are in a difficult emotional situation, some sort of situation of turmoil, and when it's going to end. So the inevitable break from somebody in your life is happening during the month of October. You've already felt it. Even just watching this reading, group number 2, you already know exactly who this break is going to be with and who you're going to no longer be in contact with after the month of October. Next up, we have the Page of Cigarettes. So this person has a strong fire sign energy. They may not be a fire sign in their sun sign, but their chart is just riddled with fire energy. So for instance, strong Leo energy that was great to begin with, but after a while maybe you realize that this person is more about themselves, their adventures, and animating you to be a part of their adventures, which is great, but you have other needs as well. And it just kind of made you feel like they were very self-centered and they didn't care so much about you, but more about what you could do for them, which is where I see that inevitable break coming during the month of October. But that is just all about this situationship here in correspondence to the Tower. Next up, we have the Queen of Knives. So in the Queen of Knives, know that mentally you're in a space where you're not dealing with any BS, where you've leveled up from that. I see in the Trickster that the Trickster is not going to have very much fun with you in October, because you're being direct, you're being open, honest, and you're aware of what's going on around you, which really stops any unwanted intruders from coming in. So instead of actually needing the black obsidian as a protector, you're protecting yourself. Then we have the Hierophant. So in the Hierophant, I do see very critical thinking, especially in correspondence to the Queen of Knives. So the Hierophant is all about being in a situation where you're possibly involved with some type of group, community that is spiritual, that is religious, that is just like an organized group community setting. It can even be an educational one. And I see here in the Queen of Knives that instead of just going with it or just believing what everybody says, you're thinking about it way more critically. And I see that in correspondence to love, it makes you rule out a lot of people. So for example, if you come to realize that a certain religion or a certain kind of group mentality that you've been in, this could even be, for instance, you know, a multi-level marketing thing. As I said, a religion, and you're coming to realize that it's just not you. It just does not resonate as well with you as you would like it to, or as you feel like it should. I see here in the Hierophant, in correspondence to the Emperor, this strong will to not be a part of it anymore, and also to not date anybody who is a part of something like this, to not romantically involve yourself with somebody who is engaged in any types of activities, spiritual activities, religious activities that you don't agree with, or that you know is basically just going to end up taking a heavy toll on your relationship. And understanding what your non-negotiables are and ruling out people who push those non-negotiables past the lines that you're okay to be in a romantic relationship with, and then in turn opening other doors as well, right, when you understand where you stand. Next up, we have trick or treating. So I see here in trick or treating that there are some romantic, potentially romantic interests that are here, that are ready in October to be a part of your life, to be a part of who you are and the person that you're growing into, to be a part of things in a physical way. So know here in trick or treating that there are people who are ready to jump into that commitment with you. There are people who are ready to be a part of your life. Now, whether you want them, whether it's the perfect fit, okay, I find that doubtful from your reading, just because we don't have any signs of a soulmate type of connection here in this trick or treating in correspondence to the rest of your reading. It's more about just people being ready and interested in you, but that not being very mutual, or you just more being happy with the connections that are already in your life. Being very picky, okay? More picky than you would maybe even like to admit. Then last but not least, we have strangely lonely. Strangely lonely just ties in beautifully with what we literally just spoke about in out trick or treating. Just because somebody is interested in you doesn't mean automatically that you would be interested in them. Sticking to your standards, keeping your standards where you need them to be, keeping them high, not lowering them out of desperation or just strange loneliness, right? This strange feeling of, okay, there's a lot here. There are a lot of different opportunities for me to be with somebody, which is so strange. Why would I be lonely, right? If I have so many different people who are interested in me, but nevertheless, it is this sensation that you're kind of having to deal with, that you're met with during the month of October. But it's not something to be concerned about. It is something very empowering to understand that you have opportunities, but you're sticking to your integrity. You're sticking to your worth, to your self-worth, okay? And making sure that you're only opening up your space to people who fit perfectly for you, who you know are not going to push you around, or not going to play games, and are really worthy of your love and your affection romantically. So group number 2, this is the reading that I received for you. I truly hope that you enjoyed it and that you found it insightful. Let me know down below in the comment section how you enjoyed your reading, whether you like this length of reading or whether it's too long for you. And if you made it all the way to the end, leave a little fire emoji down below in the comment section to let me and others know that this is the group that you chose. So group number 2, I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for sharing this sacred space with me today, and I'll catch you in another video. Hello group number 3, and welcome to your reading about your love life during the month of October. So you chose the Carnelian group number 3, which is such a gorgeous gem. This is a gem that gives you courage to speak up, as well as the vitality that you need to move forward in love. Let's move into your reading to figure out what exactly is coming towards you. So we have Poe, we have the Winged Seer, as well as Death and the Maiden. So one thing that I can see first and foremost foremost here in the winged seer that is in the middle of your reading is the fact that clarity is coming towards you when it comes to your love life. So seeing things clearly, seeing people for who they are, understanding why your love life is the way it is, and understanding what you can do in order to up your love life, right? In order to make it more of the things that you want and less of what you're struggling with. So one thing that I can see here in Poe is that October gives you this feeling that it's time for change, time to learn something new and to use technology as well as gadgets wisely. So understanding that especially in the current situation and current climate that we're in this world, you can benefit from making use of technology and gadgets to find love, to expand love. Okay, so if you are single, actually seriously considering online dating if you haven't already, especially with so many people being in the same situation where that's the only option. And if you are in a relationship, understanding that using the online portals and the online world, you can receive counseling, you can purchase things that can up your love life or the vibration around your love life and just overall support you. So that could be, for instance, crystals for one person. For another person, that could be purchasing sessions with a therapist. So it really depends on your approach as well as what your relationships need. Also, one-on-one sessions where you can talk about your fears when it comes to love. Consider that, especially right now where everything is moving more to being very much based online. Next up in Death and the Maiden, I do see here that in a sense, there is this feeling of violation. So it could be that somebody is snooping around in your love life, is trying to figure out what's going on exactly in your love life, or constantly bringing up topics that, quite frankly speaking, are none of their business. This could be a pushy family member asking you about children, your love life, your relationships, or maybe non-existent relationships. This could also be a friend that is pointing out different things to you where you feel as though your privacy has been invaded, and like just overall you just have this thing hanging over your shoulder, okay? Just breathing right down the back of your neck, as creepy as it sounds, but you understand what I mean, group number 3. Just overall boundaries being crossed and somebody trying to insert themselves into a space that they know they don't belong. You know they don't belong there, but nevertheless, people are trying. People are always trying to push others' boundaries, which is where I definitely do want you to speak up, but let's move further into your reading to figure out what the universe has to say about that. Next up, we have bells. This is an interesting one, group number 3. When you bring this situation up, when you bring up the fact that they are violating your privacy and your boundaries, there's going to be deflection, okay? The bells are all about gaslighting, all about deflecting. Now, group number 3, if you don't know what gaslighting is, that is when somebody in an argument makes you question your reality, makes you question, or am I crazy, or am I in the wrong, or is something that I'm saying very wrong? Often narcissists will do this, and people with other types of personality disorders that they struggle with, but you know, any regular person can deflect, can gaslight. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're dealing with somebody who has a mental illness, but you're definitely dealing with somebody who knows that they're not doing what they're supposed to do, who knows that they're messing with the wrong person, who understands that they've crossed the boundary, and now they feel the need to deflect. So as soon as that deflection happens in October, you know that that person feels caught and feels as though, ooh, okay, I know I did something wrong, so deflect, deflect, deflect. Next up, we have the Vision Quest, group number 3. So in the Vision Quest, I do see here this feeling of seeking, and the feeling of seeking can be a difficult one to deal with if you feel like you're very uncertain about where you're supposed to go, or you're fearing some forms of seeking. So fearing some forms of seeking, let me speak to you about that. Some people have very harsh judgments about using online portals for love, for counseling, for different types of aspects that could make your life easier, quite frankly speaking. And that's where it's important for you to not judge, especially if it's something that you're doing privately, right? Nobody needs to know that you're taking online counseling sessions or that you're using my pick a card readings as therapy sessions. Just kidding, group number 3. But you get what I'm saying. So don't judge yourself for anything that you feel helps you, as long as you can tell that it's having a positive impact on your life, on your love life. Continue to lean into it. Continue to allow your mind to expand and to be unafraid to try new things. Next up, we have crystals. So group number 3, crystals I see here can amplify your love life, can give you more of a successful as well as sustainable outlook on love. Now, crystals can amplify your love life because they have this constant vibration, right? Just like, for instance, your Carnelian has a vibration that it holds that is just unique to this crystal, to this stone. That's what it radiates, and that's how it can support you. Because as a human being, with your emotions kind of going through different situations, different ups and downs, it may be difficult to keep a very calm or steady vibration and mind, a steady mood. So that is where crystals can help amplify the type of mood and vibration that you would like to take on more of. So group number 3, I will leave the link to the Carnelian down below if that is a stone that you're interested in, as we have restocked it in my online store. But of course, any other crystal that you feel deeply connected towards will do, especially if you already have crystals in your home. Get the dust off of them, clean them, cleanse them. I have a free PDF link down below as well on a little guide of how you can cleanse your crystals and make sure that you use them for years to come. Next up, we have South. So in South, one thing that I can see here for your love life is abundance. So a lot of positive news, group number 3. A lot of news that makes you feel as though, like, yes, finally some warmth, some nurturing, a sensation that feels good when it comes to my love life. So look forward to that. And again, use your crystals to amplify everything that you want to help support you on your journey and keep a steady, energetic field of love, passion, and empathy around you. But let's move further into your reading. Next up, we have the Sword. So in the Sword, you're being called to cut ties with people who are being nosy, who haven't lost anything in your business, but nevertheless, you keep finding them there. It's almost like they continuously get lost in your business. That is where in the Sword, you have to be direct. You have to tell them to move out of your personal space and, quite frankly speaking, just be more concerned with what's going on in their life rather than yours, because you have your own plans, you have your own vision for your love life and your own ideals, especially if those are family members or friends who are judgmental over who you love, how you love, what your love life is moving towards or not moving towards. It is important for you to remind also yourself that you cannot be gaslit, that if you are happy in your love life, that's all that matters. If a marriage or children or just even a relationship period is not an achievement to you that comes first, if you're focused first and foremost on your career as well as your personal growth, that is not something that anybody should shame you about. So that's where we have the Winged Seer as really the focal point of October for you, where you see very clearly and you understand that the people who are so judgmental about love or have so much to say about your love life are most likely the ones that aren't that happy with their own, or who are just so entangled in what society thinks love should be and thinks love should look like, that they have probably never just lived the way they wanted to. They've always lived according to what they thought they should want and what they thought love should look like, and now they're kind of projecting that on to you. And you can be more compassionate when you understand that, and just see that they don't mean any harm, they just don't know any better. Next up, we have the tears. So nevertheless, you may shed a few tears, group number 3, and you know that I'm a very honest reader. I'm not just going to tell you what it is that you want to hear. But seeing very clearly that some people may never change, and some things about love may never change, may just break your heart a little bit and make you feel like crying. If you do end up feeling as though, okay, you know, the tears are coming, they're starting to roll, do so in a very safe space, in a private place if you need to, not in front of the people who are nosy and are going to tell everybody what you're going through, but in a space that is very private. And also know in the tear that sometimes just letting it out, just allowing yourself to cry, to be sad, is the best and the only remedy that you really need. Next up, we have the Pilgrim. So I do see here that there's progress being made on your journey to understanding yourself a little bit better, as well as figuring out love as a whole. You know, love, it can be a very complicated place. It can be a very complicated thing. So that is where I'm really excited, kind of ecstatic for you, group number 3. The fact that you're moving closer to where you want to be, and to that self-discovery, to that understanding that it's about the journey. It's not just about being on the summit. It's really about the entire journey up there. The summit is the last little part, it's the last little bit, but even getting to, you know, the different base camps, if you will, is already a huge challenge and so much of an investment of your time that why only value the last little bit? Why only value the tip of the mountain, the tip of the iceberg, when there's so much that goes into it that doesn't meet the eye? Next up, we have the 7 of Pills. So the 7 of Pills calls you to still look into your career, despite things being maybe in a bit of a challenging spot in your love life, where you have to tell certain people to just go away and mind their own business. I see here in the 7 of Pills that your career is in a spot where your fruit is growing, so to say, where the little seeds that you've laid, they're starting to sprout, they're starting to grow, so you have to tend to them, you have to water them, you have to put effort into it. Next up, in the 5 of Knives, I see here that you may hurt somebody without even knowing that you did. So hurt somebody who is interested or was interested in you romantically, somebody who sees you as very attractive and may want to get to know you better. So be careful with your words and try not to cut them or hurt them when they're vulnerable. They may open up to you and you may not even notice that you're hurting. Well, you're not noticing that you're hurting them because you're just letting them know exactly how you feel. Like if somebody has had a crush on you, they're talking to you about love, they're trying to feel you out, and all that you say basically is that you're done with love, you're kind of not in the mood for love, or just that maybe you're not even into somebody who is exactly like the person who's trying to feel you out. That may hurt their feelings. That may make them feel like, oh, I will never stand a chance. So try and tread very lightly with people who are interested or semi-interested in you. Next up, we have the Fool. So the Fool is a very interesting and engaging card. The Fool speaks of you embarking on a new adventure. So I do see here that October is coming with some twists, turns, and changes in love, and maybe also to a certain extent you being a little bit stubborn about getting your way and people just staying out of your business, okay? So getting your way is in continuing to do what it is that you want to do, and maybe even expressing the very thing that some people have an issue with even more. So if you're, for instance, attracted to the same sex, or you just overall feel like you identify as somebody else, as a unicorn, as a magical, mystical being, whoever it is that you want to express yourself as, the more that you realize, okay, there may be some opposition there, or people in your business where they really should just be minding their own, the more you're kind of gonna make it clear, like, this is me, okay? And the more you're trying to shut me out and just shove me back into a little closet, the more I'm going to come out on this adventure, onto this earthly plane, being myself without any type of shame, without any second thought, and just realizing that when people try to shove you back in the closet, they're often very insecure about their own love life, about their own sexuality, and the more you express yours, the more it makes them uncomfortable, which is not your problem and not for you to deal with. Group number 3. Next up, we have the 10 of Knives. So in the 10 of Knives, I do see here that when it comes to love and passion, you're moving into a new space, just as the Fool suggests. You're moving into trying new things. So if you do have a partner or you are in a situationship, okay, trying new things in a very sensual way, in a romantic way, and being unafraid to maybe even play around in the bedroom, play around with new toys, with new types of ways of being romantic, of being intimate, of turning one another on. That is one thing that I can see coming for you here in your love life. Let's move a little further into your reading. Next up, we have Strength. So one thing that I can see here in Strength in correspondence to your love life is this feeling of not needing to be right, and that actually being the best thing that could have ever happened for your love life. So not needing to be right, not needing to prove yourself, just being able to be yourself. That is where true strength stems from, group number 3, because you don't need to prove your worth or your value. You know that the people who are meant to be in your life, who you are meant to be romantic with, will make that appearance, will remain a part of your life, and you're not going to scare them or make them feel uncomfortable. Quite the contrary, they're going to be drawn to you because you're just authentically being yourself, as well as expressing what you like sexually, sensually, romantically. Next up, we have the 10 of Pills. So in the 10 of Pills, I do want you to know here that there is this gift coming towards you of more time that you can spend with a loved one, where you maybe thought the time was up. So it could have been that somebody is very old, not doing very well, and you kind of thought like, ooh, any minute they may slip away from the physical realm. But this could also be somebody that was meant to change jobs or move away, just overall have a lot less time to spend with you. But now, due to the current economic situation, they are still here, okay? They're still able to be around you in a way that you can spend more time with this person who you care about. So lean into that, and also lean into that platonic space of love where it's not romantic love. It's not love that is physical. It's love that's very much like you have love for family members. I see that is where you're being called to make sure that you're spending enough time, and that you're really realizing how fragile life is, and that it doesn't make sense to waste any time worrying about people who are in your business, who are nosy, who are maybe even being pushy about getting physical and intimate just quicker and not giving you space that you need. Don't even bother about those situations or those people. Don't give them time. Simply reject from allowing them to have access to you and your sacred space, to have access to you energetically, and make sure that those boundaries are clear, okay? Because in the Winged Seer, you see clearly, nobody can fool you. You know what's going on. You will not have anybody gaslighting you or making you feel bad for the fact that you have standards or you value yourself. So group number 3, we have a confident month coming for you when it comes to love. I really hope that you enjoyed your reading and that you found it insightful. If you made it all the way to the end of your reading, leave a little snake emoji down below, as the Strength card did have a snake on it, to let me and others know that you chose group number 3 and you made it to the end. So I hope that you enjoyed this very long and detailed reading. I'm sending you so much love, group number 3, and I'll catch you in another video. Hello group number 4, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the orange calcite, group number 4. Let's do a quick close-up of this crystal for you. This crystal is one that not only supports you in revitalizing and regaining strength, but it is also one that helps you in making decisions, especially if you procrastinate because you're afraid of decision making. But let's move into your reading to figure out exactly what is happening in your love life. So first and foremost, we have the Candy Cane Angel, then we have Mend a Broken Heart Fairy, and last but not least, we have the Violet Duchess. So let's start off with the Candy Cane Angel. So one thing that I can see here in the Candy Cane Angel is the fact that October, it's time for a treat for you. I see that when it comes to love, you're going to feel like, oh, what did I deserve to receive this awesome treat, to receive this amazing romantic time. I can see in the Candy Cane Angel that October is finally time for romantic blessings for you. I can see in Mend a Broken Heart Fairy that any type of heartaches that you may have had, I see that they have been able to heal. They've been able to come to a point where they're not dragging you down so much or not affecting you so much, and you're now in a spot where all of this patching up and working through is finally going to pay off, and you're finally going to feel as though the fact that you put in work when it came to healing, moving on, and being strong is moving into a space where you're actually happy with what's now happening in your love life. Then one thing that I do see here in the Violet Duchess is that in a sense, you can first, at the beginning of October, feel a little bit bored, feel almost like you're stuck. And that may be because these sweet treats have not revealed themselves yet that we have in the Candy Cane Angel. So know here that this big contrast may lead you to make a decision that you would regret. So that's why you're seeing this reading, group number 4. There's a reason why you're here. There's a reason why your guides and the universe have sent you to watch this reading, to watch group number 4. Not only this video, but this reading in particular. And to see here that if you do feel stifled or bored or just overall like things are kind of suffering from inertia, from being stuck, complacent, allow yourself to feel those emotions and to know that that is the emotion that comes prior to you feeling like, wow, October is really a treat for my love life. October is really a blessing when it comes to love. So instead of sabotaging by trying to induce any type of artificial love, any type of artificial change and movement, allow boredom to happen, allow boredom to take place for a few moments in October, and know that that boredom and that feeling of complacency is going to be over pretty quickly. Next up, we have the riddle. So one thing that I can see here in the riddle is that you're noticing that everything just is working seamlessly together. Everything ties in with one another. So you're going to feel as though October was almost meant to be this way. You were meant to be in a certain time and place, be it online or in person, for a reason, and it's most likely for a positive reason when it comes to love. So meeting somebody and feeling like, yes, I was just in the right place at the right time and it was all meant to be. That is one thing that I see in the riddle. Next up, we have the ring, and the ring is a card that speaks of promises, that speaks of things kind of working together eternally for you, for your love life. So the promise could be meeting somebody and understanding immediately that you both want the same things and that you're both going to be loyal to one another. I also do see here in the ring, if you're already in a relationship, know that that legally binding contract is something that is going to be discussed in October. Renewing that may be a big one for you, maybe something that you're looking into, renewing your vows. And also know in the ring that that shape is just very interesting in itself. You know, the circle, just the fact that it is constantly on a path, like on a continuation. There's no start, no end, and it's just overall a cycle. And then comes the next and the next and the next. So you're being called to understand here that love is just one big loop, one big cycle. There's no beginning, no end. You're on your journey and it's beautiful just as it is. Next up, we have the ocean. So emotionally understanding that you're exactly where you need to be, group number 4, and being in a very reflective state of mind, just as we have this celestial event here, reflecting onto the ocean, onto the surface of the ocean. So going deep, diving deep emotionally, and understanding here that you're somebody who just can't deal with people who are shallow, who are superficial, that you need depth in your life. And even if you have to be alone for a little bit, even if you have to feel like you don't have many friends or a lover that really suits or you can really go into depth with, it's worth being bored or waiting for a little bit, feeling like things are stagnant, to find that person who you can then have those mentally very stimulating conversations with. Next up, we have the sword, and the sword stands for your mental capacity, stands for the fact that you are a very intelligent and articulate human being. There's often so much that goes on in your head that nobody ever gets to know or find out about, because again, it's happening mentally. It's not something that you're expressing or saying. But it can be a very lonely place. It can be a place that makes you feel like you're all by yourself and like you're not sure if you're ever going to find somebody who will fully understand you, who will fully comprehend just how multifaceted and just how much of a very, how should I say, obsessed with everything type of being that you are. You overthink things, but at the same time, you just love knowledge. You love to know a little bit about a lot of things. Next up in the Bardo, one thing that I can see here is that certain situationships are not going to make it, and it's going to be very clear to you during the month of October. During the month of October, you're going to have a lot of these realizations of relationships that are meant to work out, relationships that never will work out, and then you're going to be able to reflect on them, reflect on why you allowed them to be a part of your life in the first place, and reflect on, okay, how are you now going to move forward, and who you're going to take with you further on your journey, on your romantic journey, and who you're going to eventually leave behind. Then we have negativity over here. In negativity, group number 4, I do want you to know that this may stir some negative emotion for you, where you ask yourself like, gee, why did I let this person into my life in the first place? Or you're thinking back at people who you were once in a relationship with, and you think to yourself, oh my God, was I drunk the entire time, or what happened? Okay, so that is where I want you to know here that these thoughts are normal, they're natural, we all have them, but don't let them take over too much time or just too much of your day. It's not worth it, because when you're somebody who has this kind of air element energy, air sign type of energy of overthinking a lot during the month of October, it can take you to deep, dark places because you are such a reflective person. You're not a surface kind of human being, that you may end up just terrifying yourself of moving forward, okay? Next up, we have well-being. So in well-being, focus on that. Focus on your mental well-being. Focus on the fact that nevertheless, you're still here. You're still in a fortunate position. Love is still something that can actually be perfect, that can actually become exactly how you want it to be if you just allow it to. So focus on that rather than on any negativity or emotions that are bubbling back up that were once under the surface. Then we have a transform next. So I do see here that from a dark place comes a transformation that brings you to this place of commitment with yourself and love, where you're saying to yourself that you're never going to allow somebody in your life anymore that doesn't value you, and you know that love is something that is mutual or supposed to be mutual in order for it to be healthy. And that is where the transformation and correspondence to the ring happens. You're not going to ever beg anybody for commitment. You're not ever going to beg somebody to be with you, to marry you, anything like that, group number 4. I see that you have in October this personal promise, this promise that you're making with yourself about never being in that situation where you're feeling like you have to beg for somebody to give you what you know that you deserve. Then we have a vibration. So I do see here that your vibration is pretty intense, and it may make it very hard to meet somebody romantically for you, group number 4. The fact that your vibration is on a whole nother level, just overall the confidence and what you're going through mentally, the epiphanies, the healing, the fact that you understand what a deserving being that you are. It can be a lot to handle for some people, but the wrong people, group number 4, remember that, the wrong people, because the people who are right for you aren't going to mind, right? They're going to love that you're empowering yourself. It's those who want to undermine you, it's those who want to disrespect you and put you down romantically, who will feel or have an adverse reaction to this strong vibration that you're putting off. Next up, we have the staff. So in the staff, I do see here that any situationship that comes into your life in October, you're really taking kind of like a microscope. Basically, I mean like putting things under a microscope, putting the foundations upon which you build your love relationships on under a little microscope, and paying close attention to why your relationships are the way that they are and how you can make them more healthy, okay, and more positive. Next up, we have the sacred site. So in the sacred site, your purpose becoming clear, and the fact that your purpose on this earth is to love, to not only love yourself, to love other humans, to love life in general, okay? Group number 4, I see here in the sacred site that it's becoming very clear to you what you want to do in regards to love, and just how much purpose that you can find in expressing love, in having people that you love, that you can share these sacred emotions with. So this may bring up some sort of instinctual feelings of, for example, having children or being in a more traditional relationship when you never thought that that is something that you wanted. All of a sudden understanding like, hey, this is part of my purpose, this is part of who I'm becoming, and this can be part of my mission to spread more love. Then we have the lovers. Group number 4, this is great news if you are looking to renew any type of connection in your life, romantic connection, or you're looking for a fresh connection. So if you are single, I see here in the lovers that Cupid is really doing some work here in October, and you can benefit from it. You can find the soulmate. You can find somebody who is meant to be in your space, who is meant to have a sacred connection with you for a long time. Next up, we have the Queen of Bottles. So this is somebody who is a water sign. In October, your best bet is with a water sign, with somebody who knows how to speak, how to convey their messages without hurting you or making you feel as though you're not properly seen or heard, but can still give you tough love when you need it. The Queen of Bottles, and don't get this confused with any type of gender roles. The Queen of Bottles is merely here to describe the type of person that Cupid has in stock for you in October, should you be looking to meet somebody new. So in the Queen of Bottles, we have somebody who is nurturing, somebody who is strong, someone who is mature and wise, okay? They are most likely the eldest. They're like siblings, okay? They're the firstborn. They're the type of person who's always taking care of everybody else, and just, as I said, nurturing but still direct. So they can sugarcoat things to a point where you get the message, but at the same time you're not hurt. At the same time you don't feel like they're just trying to be mean. So very honest and also extremely loyal and hardworking. Next up, we have Temperance. So group number 4, it is so important for you to make sure that love doesn't drive you to do silly things. So in Temperance, I want you to be warned. Know that you tuned into this reading for a reason. Don't drink too much. Don't indulge in any type of substances that alter your reality, that alter your sensations just because you're trying to have fun or you're trying to numb out certain feelings. Doing something silly like this, engaging in that type of behavior, is not going to have a good effect on your vibration, on your transformation. It may actually make you slightly aggressive. It may make you slightly unhappy with yourself and trigger certain things that you thought you were over, before that you thought you had under control, such as anxiety, depression, eating disorders, so on and so forth. So know that this is a trigger. This is a coping mechanism that will trigger things that you don't want in your life. So steer clear of any of those. Do a dry month if you can. Try and steer away from any type of like smoking, any other substances. You get the deal, group number 4. It is not the month for that for you, as you are going through some things spiritually. You are going through blocking out some negativity, where being in a place where your judgment is compromised is just going to make you take a few steps forward and then a few steps backwards again, which of course we don't want and don't need for you. So group number 4, if you made it all the way to this point of the reading, to the end of your reading, leave a little mushroom emoji down below. Does the mushroom emoji exist? If it doesn't exist, we're just going to be writing mushroom, group number 4, and just as a little pact that you're going to stay away from mushrooms and any other substances, okay, group number 4? So I hope that you're doing amazing. I'm sending you so much love. Let me know down below in the comment section what hit home for you, what you're looking most forward to for your love life and just October in general, and I'll speak to you in another video.